Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is safe and healthy in these challenging times with situations going back. So, I would like to welcome everyone on behalf of iWave and Xilinx. We thank you for taking the time to attend this webinar on migration and porting from Spartan 6 to the 7 series FPGA and the Ultra Scale Plus FPGA. My name is Taufik and I head the product marketing team at iWave. And we also have along with me Mr. Sheikh from iWave, who's the Associate Director of the FPGA Business Unit. And he'll be taking up question and answers. So a few pointers with regarding this webinar. So I'll be covering the topics for the next 40 to 45 minutes with the last 15 minutes reserved for Q&A. So in terms of Q&A, we have the last 15 minutes for Q&A, but please feel free to post your questions in the chat window to the right as the session progresses. We'll try to answer the questions as much as possible. And all participants are muted automatically to ensure no disruptions in the flow. And in terms of a recording, yes, slides and this video will be recorded and we'll make it available to you by end of this week. And as I mentioned before, the last 15 minutes are reserved for Q&A, and we'll aim to answer as much of the questions as possible. In case we are not able to answer, we'll definitely reach out to you with the answer through an email. So what am I going to cover in the next 40 to 45 minutes? So we start off with a quick introduction of iWave, our FPGA expertise, and the partnership between iWave and Xilinx. And then we get into the crux of the webinar, which is why upgrade from Spartan 6 and a comparison of the Spartan 6 with the 7 series FPGA and the Ultra Scale Plus F family. Then we move on towards the challenges and a porting guide for the Spartan 6 migration and a short intro of how you can go about the device selection process. And lastly, we'll cover a few slides on how iWave can help you on this migration and what sets iWave apart as an FPGA design house and manufacturing company. And we end with a few key takeaways, resources to help you with the migration, and the Q&A session. So a quick snapshot of iWave. So iWave was established in the year 1999 and have been around for close to 22 years of embedded industry experience. So we are focused on the embedded engineering, design, and development, and are strategically focused on the industrial, automotive, and medical verticals. So we are driven by the mission to be a reliable technology company and a partner helping companies in their product development and product innovation cycles. Over the last 22 years, they have helped close to 900 plus companies in their product development and mass manufacturing across the verticals. With our expertise, we have helped companies through our premium partnership with companies such as Xilinx, where we work on their innovative solutions and state-of-the-art products. The complete engineering team is based out of Bangalore, but we have been enabling customers globally through our extensive distribution ecosystem and our complete production ecosystem. And now talking a bit about the FPGA expertise at iWave. So iWave has built a complete FPGA team at iWave, taking care of the hardware design, the software design, the RTL, including the IP cores development. So this includes video, high-speed memory and network interfaces, or algorithm in FPGAs using the high-level synthesis or the complete software development lifecycle, or in terms of RTL, the system integration and your development using the VSDL, Verilog, or your system Verilog, or in terms of building the protocol blocks. So it is a complete end-to-end team at iWave who takes care of starting from the hardware board design to the validation to your IP core development. So iWave ensures that you have the complete team to take care of your product development and no reliance on any third-party companies. Looking at iWave, so we are primarily a design company, but also help companies in the complete manufacturing. So we have a well-established production and certification ecosystem. So in terms of production, we have a vast supply chain, strong supply chain and manufacturing ecosystem located out of Japan and Taiwan, and strategically work with distributors to ensure that there's no supply chain, and we help companies, especially in today's world, managing with the lead time situation. in terms of certification, be it the radio, the environmental, or in terms of your EMI, EMC, or safety, iWave has a partnership with leading certification agencies across the globe, such as Veritas, TUE, or 7Layers. So we help companies starting from their ideation, the product design, all the way to production and certification. So it is not, we are not purely a design company, but are focused in helping companies all the way to production and certification. And like a key trend of the iWave Xilinx partnership. So as I mentioned, we started in the year 1999, and in the year 2003 started the strategic partnership with Xilinx with their design services. And 2005 to 2017 is where we focused more on the design services around the Spartan 3, Spartan 6, and the 7 series FPGA. And from 2017 onwards have been strategically focusing on system on modules as well as design on services. So as I'll cover in the next few slides, the design services and the system on modules portfolio has helped more than 400 companies, 400 products in the last 5 to 6 years. And as you can see, we have a very strong roadmap, including the RF SOC, Zen 4, and the Kintex or Vertex UltraScale Plus in the next few years. So this ensures that we have a good strategic focus with the Xilinx ecosystem. So now coming to the crux of the webinar in terms of why upgrade from Spartan 6. So Spartan 6 definitely has been one of the longest devices in the Xilinx portfolio and proven across many multiple products in the industry. Spartan 6 was the industry-leading platform with connectivity features such as the high logic to pin ratios, or it can even be the small form factor packaging, including the MicroBlaze soft processor. And definitely it found a lot of applications across the consumer, automotive, infotainment, and the industrial automation products. So why do we need to upgrade? So the first was the Spartan 6 was launched in 2009, and Xilinx does commit like 15 plus years of product longevity. But in terms of new products, looking at the next few years, it is definitely better to upgrade, looking at the technology enhancements that have happened in the recent past. So the new process improvements starting from the 45 nanometer to the 28 nanometer to 16 nanometer, we are looking at the more high performance and low power close to by a factor of 2. And the next factor is in terms of the tool update. So the Spartan 6 is available only in the ISC and not in the Vivado tool. And the Vivado tool, how I'll cover it in the next few slides, offers a much better ecosystem of IP cores and is more advanced, helping in reducing your product development cycle. And last but not the least is in terms of the complete supply chain lead times, which is in top of everyone's mind as of today, is the Spartan 6 is manufactured using the Samsung fab. And in today's world of the supply chain demand, the lead times are definitely looking much bleak, and hence it is better to upgrade to the 7 series or the UltraScale Plus, what I'll cover in the next few slides. So looking at this, what is the portfolio from Xilinx which is available for you to upgrade to? So the Spartan 6 and 7 are more connectivity optimized. The Arctic 7 is the best for transceiver performance for high speed serial connectivity options such as HDMI and is more bandwidth optimized. The Zinc is more used for system integration in terms of integrating a full ARM processing subsystem with the FPGA logic. And in the new 16 nanometer portfolio, where you have a higher performance per watt measurement, you have the Arctic UltraScale Plus and the Zinc UltraScale Plus. So I'll also touch upon this more in detail in the next few slides. So now looking at a Spartan 6 to a 7 series FPGA, what is going to be your, in terms of the logic or in terms of your effect on the upgradation? The Spartan 7 logic architecture is largely consistent with the Spartan 6 logic architecture, and most of the logic designs created in Spartan 6 will automatically retarget to the superior Spartan 7 and 7 series FPGA architecture. And the other factors that are mainly going to differ is in terms of your DSP, your BRAM, the clocking, your IOs, or in terms of your DDR support. And if you're looking at the migration from the Spartan 6 to Arctic 7 PCI, that will be relatively straightforward since the Arctic 7 has a superior data rate and more lanes. So looking at this comparison between the Spartan 6 to the Spartan 7, the Arctic 7 and the Zinc 7000 series, you can clearly see that there's a technology improvement from the 45 nanometer to the 28 nanometer. So at 28 nanometer, Spartan 7 by definition has 2.5 times greater performance per watt of Spartan 6 and much better I/O support. The Arctic 7 has the complete scalability from 12K to 200K logic cells and is one of the industry's only 6.25 gigabit transceiver based FPGA. And Zinc is the cost optimized ARM SoC with programmable logic based on the Arctic 7. So in terms of performance metrics, it is similar to Arctic 7 as far as the FPGA fabric is concerned. And look at the Spartan 6 to UltraScale Plus family. So the logic, the DSP, BRAM, DDR, and PCIe are all enhanced in the Arctic 7 and the Arctic UltraScale Plus and the Zinc UltraScale Plus. So it does require the user to redesign the board, but the migration is definitely not difficult. And in terms of your power efficient and area efficient, high density and high performance IOs, the Arctic UltraScale and Zinc UltraScale offer the designers much better flexibility, which you can use for your product designs. So the Spartan 6 IO supports 1.2 volt to 3.3 volt standards, whereas the Zinc UltraScale Plus and Arctic UltraScale Plus offer the HP support from 1.0 to 1.8 volt and the high density support from 1.2 to 3.3 volt. So this gives product designers increased performance and increased horsepower for their usage. And this is a comparison of the Spartan 6 with the Arctic UltraScale Plus and the Zinc UltraScale Plus. So in the Zinc UltraScale Plus, we have highlighted the ZU1 to ZU7 series as a comparable option. So here you can see that the process improvement is from 45 nanometer to 16 nanometer, and you have a much better transceiver support in Arctic UltraScale Plus and Zinc UltraScale Plus. And a key improvement in the Zinc UltraScale Plus is the availability of the ARM A53 core and the ARM Cortex R5 core with the addition of a GPU for your video processing options. And the Arctic UltraScale Plus is a family for high I/O bandwidth and DSP compute. So it offers better serial input-output performance with 16 Gbps transceivers for advanced protocols and offers much higher security, which I'll cover in the next few slides. So now I'll just go through the Spartan 7, Arctic 7, the Zinc, and the Zinc MP-SOC family a bit more in detail. So the Spartan 7 family is optimized for low cost, lowest power, and high I/O performance. And this is available in low cost and very small form factor packaging for your smallest footprint and your space constrained designs. The Spartan 7 devices are supposed to be the best in class performance per watt with the small factor packaging to meet the stringent requirements. And with the MicroBlaze soft processor capable of running close to 200 DMIPS with 800 Mbps DDR3. So this is built on the 28 nanometer technology. Additionally, the Spartan 7 device also offers an integrated ADC with dedicated security features such as the AES encryption and SSH authentication, which offers much better security features for the Spartan 7. And the Spartan 7 devices are ideally suited for industrial, consumer, and automotive applications, including connectivity, sensor fusion, and embedded vision. Now talking about the Arctic 7. So the Arctic 7 is specially optimized for low power applications requiring serial transceivers, high DSP and logic throughput. And this helps provide the lowest total BOM cost for high throughput and cost sensitive applications. So in short words, Arctic 7 is more as the performance and bandwidth FPGA. And biggest differentiator within the portfolio is the transceivers. The Spartan 7, which I mentioned previously, does not have transceivers. So if you need high-speed serial connectivity in an FPGA, Arctic or Zinc is your way to go. In terms of any-to-any connectivity, what I mentioned, Arctic 7 opens up to more protocol support. If you need PCI Express Gen 2 or USB 3.0, you're going to need an Arctic 7, a Zinc 7000, or a higher MP-SOC processor. And if your application is image or video processing, Arctic may be a better fit. It has the highest DSP bandwidth in a programmable device within the 7 series FPGA class. And by nature of the hardware, it's much more efficient than a discrete BSP in terms of parallelized throughput, latency, and efficiency. So in comparison, it's a low-end FPGA with high-end capabilities. If you need serial protocols like in terms of the HDMI Gen 2 SATA and your algorithms are signal processing heavy, it's better you look at the Arctic 7 or the Zinc MPSoC. Now going to the Zinc 7000 or 7010. The Zinc 7000 family integrates the software programmability of an ARM-based processor with the hardware programmability of an FPGA, enabling key analytics and hardware acceleration while integrating CPU, DSP, and mixed functionality on a single device. The Zinc 7000 architecture leverages a dedicated processing system based on an ARM Cortex-A9, whether either a single or dual-core implementation, and a 256 KB of on-chip memory attached directly to the control unit. And most of the processor capability is the same. Within the processing subsystem, you have the set of integrated peripherals. While you can flexibly put almost any peripheral in the FPGA logic itself, there are a few hardened ones directly in the processing system, such as the DDR controller, SPI controller, and an I2C controller for external component control, plus an array of memory controllers for non-volatile memory access, and USB 2.0 plus gigabit Ethernet for the common data interfacing. So what makes Zinc unique is the ability to merge an ARM class application processor with flexible hardware to merge CPU, DSP, and the mixed signal functionality, what I mentioned before. And with this building over 3000 interconnects between programmable FPGA technology and a processor, you get low latency IO bandwidth that's not possible on a multi-chip solution where there won't be enough pins to match this type of connectivity feature available. And in the Zinc, you can also implement microblaze in the programmable logic in conjunction with an integrated ARM A9 system. And looking at the MPSoC family, the Zinc MPSoC series provides the 64-bit processor scalability while combining real-time control with soft and hard engines for graphics, video, waveform, and packet processing. These adaptive SoCs complement the decade-long availability of soft-core CPUs and other soft IP for building system on FPGAs. And this MPSoC also offers an extended memory subsystem with increased bandwidth and added support for DDR4 memory. And the peripherals are available to extend through the hardening of a transceiver block through the processing system, such as your USB or a native display port. And this MPSoC is also integrated with a deep learning processor unit for applications such as your AI/ML and smart city applications. And looking at the security enhancements. So as I mentioned before, the Spartan 7 and Arctic 7 has increased security and monitoring available through the AES encryption as well as your SHA authentication methods, and offers increased tamper monitoring and response. The ZU and the ZU series and the Arctic Ultra Scale series provide additional security offering through the anti-tamper capability as well as your information and supply chain assurance. So this is done by providing hard blocks for authentication and decryption, different configuration and security unit, and soft IP like our security monitor IP. So you can see that there's the complete architecture takes care of the hardware and software attacks possible. And now coming to the tool usage. So Xilinx does provide a world-class tool suite to shorten design from months to weeks, significantly improving design productivity. So Vivado, which was introduced as the first plug-and-play IP integration environment, where you can work at the interface level of your IP building blocks to put together a system intuitively and quickly. So finally, in the area of design implementation, Vivado delivers up to 4 times faster runtimes, 3 times faster incremental design change, and up to 20% of higher device utilization which enables you to use a smaller density device to a low cost. And Vivado is an additional step change in capability from the previous IEC tool. However, you can still bring your previous RTL designs and generate your programmable files. So exactly how much of the design can migrate depends on the design itself. For example, a pure RTL design will provide a high level of migration, while a micro-based solution may result in a re-architecting of the micro-based solution by leveraging your IP integrator and pulling in specific RTL modules from your previous design. And one of the main changes between IAC and Vivado is, of course, the constraints. So before Vivado, these were captured in a UCF file, but Vivado now uses an expansion of the Synopsys design constraint, which is called as the Xilinx design constraint file. And of equal importance is the ecosystem. So it's key to have a vast catalog of third-party options and alternatives to access the best IP, software, and boards, and bring a design to completion using third-party ecosystem. And so the Vivado ML Standard Edition is free to download, and all Spartan 7, Arctic 7, the Zinc and the Zinc UltraScale Plus MPSoC are free to use, and with the latest addition to this being also the Arctic UltraScale Plus. So now looking at the decision chart. So moving to like how do you move on the decision chart? So the first factor we consider is the utilization of the microblaze. So if there is no microblaze utilized in your Spartan 6 design, you can then have a look at the transceivers being used. So we need to check if high-speed multi-gigabit transceivers are being used as part of the application which you are targeting to migrate. So if you are not using transceivers, you can go for a Spartan 7 family. While if you are looking at, if you do have the high-speed transceivers in your product design, you will have to look at the Arctic 7 or your Arctic UltraScale Plus family. And now if you are using microblaze in your design, you need to determine if you want to continue using the microblaze or migrate to a high-performing A93 or A53 in the Zinc or the Zinc MPSoC. Or if you also have an external ARM or DSP or an x86 and external block in your Spartan 6 product design, you can combine both and go for the Zinc 7000 or the Zinc UltraScale Plus MPSoC family. And last but not the least is in terms of today's supply chain situation. So it is better to look into your other products within your company in terms of how do your supply chain preferences. It might even be more sensible to select a slightly larger or a different design as long as the design migrates to your company's supply chain strategy, because as of today, supply chain is the crux or the heart of everyone's mind. So now looking at the Xilinx portfolio at iWave, the Zinc portfolio. So these are the system on modules and single board computers which iWave has built to enable customers build their product with a much shorter time. So what you see on the left is the Zinc 7000 series SOM. What you see in between is the Zinc UltraScale Plus ZU457 SOM. And what you see on the right is the single board computer. And if you look at like how we maintain the scalability, so in our MPSoC, we maintain scalability starting from ZU1 to ZU19, which makes iWave help customers, help them in terms of their scalability and the complete product requirements. So in terms of if you look at, we have the 3 different packages available on our products, starting from the C784 to B900 to the C1760. So we have the single board computer, what you saw is available from the ZU1 to ZU5. And the second system on module is available from ZU4, 5, and 7. And the last package you see, we have the ZU11, 17, and 19, which has a high processing capability for the complete medical imaging and high-end applications. So similarly on the Zinc 7000, iWave maintains the scalability across the Zinc 7000 series from the 7007, the 7014, the 7010, and the 20, helping you across the single core and the dual core range of families. And so coming back to the portfolio at iWave. So we have built the complete system on modules and single board computers with scalability, with the complete functionality on board. So you look at the Zinc 7000 SOM, you have the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, the gigabit Ethernet, and USB 2.0. Whereas on the right, you can look at the system on module with the complete memory features inbuilt with the GTH, GTY transceivers. And similarly, the single board computer comes with all the peripheral interfaces such as SATA, DisplayPort, HDMI, and also has an M.2 port for your 4G or 5G connectivity. So these sort of system on modules and supply chain and help you face your supply chain issues. And all our development kits are available on Mouser and DigiKey for immediate purchase. So in case you're looking at an immediate product evaluation or product market fit, you can use any of our development kits to get started. And looking at the migration process at iWave. So how do we help companies? So if you look at the typical process, we first try to identify what is the right FPGA device based on the processing capability you require. And on the right-hand side, what you see is more the migration journey. So we try to identify your development kit, then go towards the FPGA device migration, the target testing on the development kit. Whereas on the left, there's a parallel process of your hardware design, the complete hardware design and development. So the hardware design and the complete migration goes on in parallel. And iWave, we ensure that between 10 to 16 weeks, dependent on the complexity, we help you achieve your complete product development. Whereas companies usually take 24 to 30 weeks. So we try to leverage our experience across multiple system on modules, multiple different types of processor to make sure that your time to market is the shortest. And why iWave is different for your migration are these 4 key aspects. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, we try to leverage our experience across multiple different projects, multiple different system on modules to make sure that you are able to get to market faster. The second is in terms of your turnkey project. So iWave takes up the complete migration, hardware design, in terms of the production as well as certification. And we are very flexible on the business model, which I'll also talk about in the next slide. And I'm sure it's what is there in everyone's mind today is the supply chain. So how iWave is managing the supply chain, where I also saw a question on the right in terms of how iWave is managing our supply chain. So that is where we have a very strong supply chain team of close to working with suppliers, vendors across the globe, in fact, 24 hours a day, to make sure that we are able to get the parts in terms of forecasting, in terms of planning, and helping customers across the globe with our system on module portfolio. And if you look at the engagement models at iWave, so these are the 3 key models. So starting, if you require us to build only the FPGA design and do the migration from a Spartan 6 to a Spartan 7, or you have your own custom board design where you want iWave to help you on the custom board design and on the migration part from the different example from the IAC to the Vivado tool, or if you want to use any of a system on module and also do the complete migration. So as I mentioned before, we are very open on the business model dependent on your product requirements. So maybe I'll just touch upon 3 case studies where we have helped customers from the Spartan 6 to a new generation family. So this is for one of the Japanese industrial PLC manufacturer, where previously a lot of the memory map and multiple IO peripherals were implemented on the PCIe using the FPGA. So what you see on the top right is the legacy design, and it was replaced with the MPSOC. So previously the Linux was running on the x86, whereas iWave implemented the complete logic on the PETA Linux available on the processing system and implemented the AXI bridge between the PS and PL of the Zinc MPSOC FPGA. So we replaced the complete the legacy design on Spartan 6 with the Zinc MPSOC SOM plus a custom board design. And second is a case study where for an industrial medical device manufacturer. So previously they used the Microblaze soft core on the Spartan 6, and all communication interfaces such as the Ethernet, SPI were integrated on this custom the soft core. So what we helped was in terms of building those peripherals on the PETA Linux layer where the peripherals are available. So the PL is made available for the custom logic. So this helps in reducing the system cost as well as better resource utilization So this is for one. This is where we use the Zinc 7000 SOM for the complete medical device manufacturing. And here the third case study is, as you see on the top right, was a legacy controller card where you have the FPGA, the ASIC, the x86 processor, and a serial communication controller. So iWave replaced these 6 blocks with a single RTX 7 FPGA chipset. So with all these 10 legacy protocols which were present in multiple blocks were replaced with a single RTX 7 chipset. And what we did was we did the complete design and development, so the customer did not have to do any additional firmware or application software change. So it was an exact plug and play type compatible design which was done for this aerospace company for the automotive control. So as I mentioned before, so in terms of the key partnership with Xilinx, so iWave is also coming up with their own RF SoC system on module, as well as the Kintex UltraScale Plus and the Vertex UltraScale Plus system on module. So we continuously work on new Xilinx products, helping customers get to market faster with our system on module. So as part of the key, maybe just summarizing the 30 minutes of discussion. So the Spartan 6 definitely is one of the best products from Xilinx so far. But looking at a few challenges, it might help as a part of your product development journey to look at the options available. And Xilinx does have an extensive portfolio of product families available dependent on your product requirements. And the immediate look at would be at the 7 series FPGA and the UltraScale Plus FPGA, which have great performance advantage over the Spartan 6, be it the clock speed or the DSP performance, the memory frequency, or your I/O data rates. And our recommendation to you is to review your existing design and migrate to 7 series FPGA and UltraScale Plus if possible. And iWave can definitely help you in terms of your requirement analysis or the system on module to jumpstart your product, or in terms of the complete board design. So this is where we can help you. So this is a quick summary. And what I've listed also on the next slide is a few resources available for you to evaluate your product requirements, be it the 7 series, the Spartan 7, the RTX 7, or the Zinc 7000. And also included is an MP-Stock product selection guide from iWave. So when we share this presentation to you by end of this week, you can definitely have a look at these resources, which can help you in your migration and porting journey. So I think that's it from my side. So thanks for your time. So now we open the floor for Q&A. So you can post your questions in the chat window, and we'll do our best to answer them. So Sheikh sir, can you hear me?
So there are a couple of open questions, so we will address one by one.
Yeah.
So can Spartan 7 use same configuration memory type as Spartan 6 QSPA flash? So the answer is yes. Yeah, the Spartan 7 FPGA is again, it is a SRAM based FPGA, something similar to Spartan 6. So definitely external flash memory is required to store the configuration data. So Spartan 6 QSPA flash memory is required for Spartan 7 as well. So there is one more question. What are the advantages of moving to Vivado tool? So I would like to highlight three major advantages. One is it's a less compilation time, because a lot of improvements are done in Vivado tool compared to ISC. So it reduces the overall the design compilation time, because earlier we have to wait for a good amount of time to complete the design and then start validate on the board. So definitely the Vivado tool reduces that compilation time. And second thing is the timings are more consistent with respect to IO and Fabric, where in case of ISC, like it's a time to time, compile to compile, we used to see there is a time difference, timing closure difference. That is addressed in the Vivado tool, like every compilation. So we get the more consistent timing closure with respect to IO and fabric. And third one is it's improved resource utilization. These are the three key advantages moving to Vivada tool compared to ISE. There's one more question from the team, like what is the use of microblaze in Jinx subsystem? We already have ARM SoC. Yeah, you are right. So definitely there is no use of microblaze in the Jinx subsystem, since it already have a built-in hard ARM processor. So whatever is done in the microblaze, that will be migrated to the ARM processor. So we can completely avoid using soft microblaze core. Again, that consumes good amount of FPGA resource. So where in case of Jinx subsystem, it's a hard block. So that is the processing system will not consume any FPGA resource. Taufik, you would like to take how iWave is managing the supply chain and lead time issues?
Yes, so that definitely is probably the answer which companies across the globe are looking at. So in terms of the supply chain, what we try to work with the Xilinx team in terms of the forecasting and in terms of our supply chain management, in terms of the different ecosystem of distributors we have, including ExcelPoint, who is one of our key partners. So that is how we try to forecast in terms of the planning and helping, and that is how we manage the complete production ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you, Taufik. So there is one more interesting question from Mr. Bruce. So why should I switch from one part? I cannot get Spartan 6 to another that still I cannot get. So that is where we value add, Mr. Bruce. Like we are a system on module supplier. So we have a wide range of system on module based on Jinx 7000 and Jinx Ultra Scale Plus. So if you are planning to migrate to your existing Spartan 6 based design to Jinx or Jinx MPSOC, so definitely we are here to support you. Those modules are readily available. We can supply those modules with less lead time to take care of your product. So there is one more interesting question. Your existing and upcoming products like Kindex or Vertex Ultra Scale Plus is space qualified. So today we are targeting the extended and industrial grade devices. So definitely, if the customers are coming for space qualified, so we'll be open to upgrade our roadmap to support space qualified as well. So as of now, we have planned to support extended and industrial grade devices. So there is one more question. Is it possible to run on Petal LX in Spartan series? Yes, actually, the Spartan series, it's a pure FPGA, right? There is no hard processor. So that is where we can use that microblaze soft core, and we can even run Petal Linux on microblaze soft processor.
Can we address the multi-boot support?
Multi-boot support. Somehow I missed. Yeah, so Bruce. So we use multi-boot. Yes, Bruce. Multi-boot support is available in Spartan 7 as well. So there is one more question. Recommended migration FPGAs or drop-in replacement without redesigning the board. So definitely no. The reason is like the 7 series Ultra Scale Plus FPGA architecture, IO, and its packages are different. So it's not drop-in replacement. Board has to be redesigned with the 7 series FPGA or Ultra Scale Plus FPGA. So that is where we can value add. Contact us for a quick migration with respect to the FPGA, as well as even we can make use of our the system on module based on Zynq and Zip MPSOC to migrate your product in a less time and quick to market. So I see a lot of questions. What is the use of microBlaze is answered. What is the use of dual core RPU in Zynq MP Zynq subsystem? Yeah, very good question. So in Zynq MPSOC, so the name itself like multi-processing SoC, right? So that supports quad Cortex A53 as well as Cortex R5 processor. So in some applications, like where you have to handle the certain application on the Linux operating system, and the certain tasks are time critical, still the processing.
John, can we license?
So that is where like you can partition your the software development, so which are not time critical and it is already running on the operating system, that can be run on the Cortex A53. And whatever is time critical, so we can run on the real-time Cortex R5. So where it can be like pure bare metal without operating system, or it can be a real-time RTOS. So that is where like we can easily partition the software application. So time critical and non-time critical, and where we can handle the time critical things on the RPU. So Cortex R5 processing system. Yeah, good to see a lot of questions, more interactive. Still some more questions. So there is one more question. Vertex or Kindex be used for space qualified? So as we mentioned earlier, so we are coming up with the system on module in a two different operating temperature, extended industrial grade. So that's something we need to discuss offline, Mr. Aditi. So definitely we can discuss with you and address your query. So there is one more interesting question. What is the difference between SoC and the system on module in FPGA environment? Yeah, very good question. The SoC is a system on chip, so that so where you can see that Spartan 6 is a pure FPGA. So the Zynq and Zynq Ultra Scale Plus devices are called SoC. So the reason is like the single chip includes the ARM processor and the FPGA fabric, and a lot more the hard blocks like the PCI Express, Ethernet, 100G Ethernet, and the video codec engine. So there are multiple blocks are integrated in the single chip. So that is why like the Zynq or Zynq MPSOC devices are called SoC chipsets compared to traditional pure FPGA like Spartan 6. So coming to system on module is like the name itself says the system. It comes in a module like using the key chipset. It can be it can be like a Zynq or Zynq MPSOC or any devices. So the module includes the core processing device, supporting memory like DDR memory and boot memory, eMMC or SD, and the 5 components: USB 5, Ethernet 5, and it also includes that all the power regulators required for this particular device, and where user need not to worry about that power sequencing. You know that today the latest FPGAs comes with multiple voltages, and the power up and power down sequence management is becoming a challenge. So again, that is part of the system module. So you can treat the system on module as a drop. It's like the device user need not worry about the signal integrity, power integrity, and they can focus only on their application specific IOs. So like all the PS peripherals, the processing memory, boot devices, and everything are taken care in the SOM module and brought those IOs to the SOM connector. Similarly, all the FPGA IOs are brought to the SOM connector. So the customer need not to go through that FPGA data sheets and understand. So they can concentrate more on the application specific IO card, so that they can complete the design in a short period and no need to understand the core part of the FPGA and hardware design. So there is one more. Can I program the eMMC memory attached to Zynq MPSoC from PLDDR? Actually, it is done with the PSDDR. So actually, the eMMC flash memories are used as a boot device, and that can be programmable through various interfaces like JTAG, USB, or Ethernet. So not from the PLDDR.
And build a SOM at our own contract manufacturer. So definitely, John, we can look at it. We can have a discussion offline, and we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, Mr. Swam, I think we can address your query in the offline, so feel free to contact us regarding the eMMC memory programming. Yes, you are right. So we can program the eMMC from the PSDDR memory. Is it possible with PLDDR? It's something we have to check and get back to you on that. So we will address your query on offline.
Oh, I think thanks a lot, Sheikh sir. We'll just wait for a minute or two in case anyone has any more questions. Thanks, Rohit. Thanks, Aditya. So we'll just wait for a minute or two for any more questions in case.
Yeah, I think so. We got a lot of questions. It's a very interactive session. There is one more. So thank you. Okay.
So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for everyone for taking your time off your day in the morning, afternoon, and evening. And definitely, in case of any clarifications, I would recommend you taking a screenshot of this slide. So in case of any questions, you can always reach out to Rohit or Aditya from Xilinx, or myself or Sheikh from iWave. We'll be happy to get back to you. And Samudra, I also see a question on purpose of OCM. So definitely we'll answer this and your previous DDR related question. We'll answer it offline. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for taking your time. Have a good day ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye.